Segu Agwegu. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm just giving folks about a 5-minute warning before we get things started. Just about a 5-minute warning. Good afternoon. Segu agwegu deganadasa niengas. I said, greetings everyone. My traditional name is Deganadasa. My English name is Ron McClester, and I'm the Executive Director for Truth, Reconciliation, and Indigenization here at the college. Before we get started, I would like to invite Ron Bernard up here from Pikwakanagan First Nation to provide an opening remarks for us. Thank you.
Koi, o Mexico and Indigenous cause, Mang Dodum, Pikwakanagan and Dunjaba. I've said hello. My clan is Loon clan, and I live in Pikwakanagan, which is the Algonquin community located about 130 kilometers west of Ottawa. I'd like to welcome you to unsurrendered Algonquin territory. Just to explain what that means, like I often wonder if people already know what I mean when I say Algonquin territory. Just to be sure, in Ontario, well, Algonquin territory is divided by the provincial boundary between Ontario and Quebec. In Ontario, Algonquin territory is made up of the drainage basin of the Ottawa River, which we call Kichisibi, and that drainage basin constitutes 9 million acres of land. The land base of Algonquin, unsurrendered Algonquin territory in Quebec is double that amount at least. And so on behalf of our chief, Kirby White Duck, of the Algonquins of Pikwakanagan and the Algonquin people, welcome to unsurrendered Algonquin territory. We are happy to have a growing partnership with Algonquin College, and we'd like to express our thanks for the effort of the college in order to the development of this facility. And it's all, I believe, aimed at helping Indigenous students feel more at home in the college so that their studies will come a bit easier with this new facility. So thanks to the college for that, and I'd also like to say that we do have members of the Algonquins of Pikwakanagan with us today, and members of Kitigan-Zibi, which is one of the 9 communities of Algonquin people in the province of Quebec. So I'm happy to have those people here with us to help us with the celebration of this event. So I hope you all enjoy yourselves here today, and again, I'm looking forward to the growing partnership between the Algonquin people and Algonquin College. Miigwech.
So again, welcome everyone. Before I go into the agenda that I have here in front of me, I just want to make a few quick acknowledgements. Again, as Indigenous people, one of the most important things, at least in the teachings that I have, is to recognize our connection and our relationship to all things. And that's something we'll be focusing on quite a bit as we look forward to continuing exploring Indigenous knowledge here at the college. I'm really glad, thankful, and proud to have invited community members from both Pikwakanagan and Kitigan-Zibi to take part in a bit of a community VIP session here in our new space just before this meeting. In order to do this work, one of the things you have to do is to engage meaningfully with Indigenous community members. Not one of us knows everything, and mistakes can be made quite easily if you don't. There's a saying that says nothing about us without us, and I'm quite proud to say that over the last 2.5 years we've done quite a bit of engagement on territory, off territory, students, staff, faculty, board of governors, work units, all different kinds of people at different times and different locations. It did my heart quite well today to hear some of the feedback from those folks this morning. Not to mention they liked my corn soup. But to have them here is very important. I myself am Haudenosaunee, or Iroquois, or Six Nations. Six Nations is obviously English, Iroquois is French, Haudenosaunee is our word. And I'm not Algonquin, I'm not Anishinaabe, I'm not from this territory. I have a leadership role here at the college when it comes to Indigenous initiatives, and I'm very conscious that I'm not Algonquin. And so it is very important that we continue to have the relationships Ron Bernard talked about to ensure that we are doing things in a good way. And sometimes there'll be mistakes, and when we make them, we'll live up to them. But again, we really want to say thank you to all of you folks for coming, specifically to those of you who have contributed to this really good work. We're really excited to have you here to do some celebrating this afternoon. There are 4 or even 5 distinct areas that we will unveil traditional names for today, and that is quite exciting. But before we do that, we are going to take part in some ceremony. And so in order to do that, I want to communicate a little bit about what those ceremonies are and some of the cultural expectations that I hope folks will respect in doing so. Elder Peter DeConte is here and has continued, he's actually just making his way out to the structure right now, has continued to guide the work here at the college for quite some time, well before I started. And it's really important that we involve folks like Elder DeConte, again, to ensure that we're doing things in a good way. In a few moments, we will be inviting folks to participate in one of 2 ceremonies, perhaps even both if you decide maybe it's too cold outside. Peter is going to be leading a fire ceremony. You will see, whether you decide to go outside or observe from the inside, first a smudging. Peter and his helper will smudge the structure because it's new. You'll notice they'll go around the outside of the structure and be using what in my language we call gunkuleo, good smoke, in order to cleanse the activities and the structures that are out there. Please, if you would like to join folks out there, you're welcome to. As he gets started, though, please don't crowd around the fire at first. When we go out there, give them space. He will let us know when it's kind of time to come a little bit closer. There will also be a water ceremony taking place here in the lodge. And I want to just read a little bit about both of these pieces so that there's additional context. The fire ceremony is always the first ceremony. It's lit before many and any important gatherings or special event. For example, the lighting of the fire marks the beginning of a powwow where other ceremonies take place, such as pipe ceremonies, sunrise ceremonies, or the sharing of different teachings and different wisdom. It comes before the start of anything and is prepared by a traditional fire keeper, of which Elder Peter DeConte is one. That person is responsible for tending the fire along with his helper at all times. There will be a closing ceremony for the fire when it gets put away at the end, in which folks will have an opportunity to go back outside to join with that as well. The fire ceremony is traditionally carried by the men. Water ceremony is a way that we honor all that is sacred in life. It specifically connects us to each other, but is also connected to the women and the female life of creation. The elder will explain its cultural significance when we host that back here at the lodge, and invite folks to participate, and that includes, if you wish, drinking some of that water. Today there will be berries used as well. So, just a little bit of housekeeping before we go. For those of you who don't know, and many of you do, when we do these ceremonies, we ask that there's no pictures, videos, photography, that kind of stuff. The reason for that is that we expect folks to be present. We don't often get to come together in this particular kind of way, and so we put that stuff away in order to have our minds come together, our thoughts come together when we either give thanks or place acknowledgement. And so it's very important that these cultural protocols are respected. So whether it's the fire lighting ceremony outside, whether it's the water ceremony taking place in the lodge concurrently, or when Elder DeConte puts away the fire at the end, we'll ask that specifically there'll be no pictures taken at that time. So, with that said, I'll invite folks to either put on your coats if you've brought them, and accompany us out underneath the structure. It will have a formal name in a little while, in order to participate, observe, and to be around these sacred ceremonies. If you wish, again, there will be a ceremony here in the lodge that will take place kind of concurrently, but after Peter gets started. In fact, Elder DeConte let me know that once he gets that started, he will come and join the inside. So feel free to join either one. Now, if you go outside and you find that it's too cold, you don't have to stay out there. Just respectfully, back up, come inside, hang out. There's food and drinks and stuff, and so, and then after that, we'll get back together. We have a few additional acknowledgments to make, and we'll see you folks back in here at that time. You won't go. Well, there are a number of doors. If somebody can open this side. It's over here. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
And because you can unplug the microphone too, because Ron later, he only has a very quick closing. So, just for after. And we'll put this on the thing. Okay, perfect, yeah. And it might not even need it. No, it's just that these people won't see him. That's the trouble. Oops, the microphone's on. We can put it down. Can we go turn the microphone?
Steve. How's it going, eh? Beauty. That's a nice soundboard. Yes, he's testing the microphone there, Graham. That's a very nice shirt you're wearing. Do you want me to talk louder, Steve? Okay. Turn it off.
Hello. Hi, folks. Just to let you know, Elder Josie White Duck will be starting the water ceremony. If you can attend inside the lodge, that'd be fantastic. We ask that we try and keep the doorway free from people standing directly in front. The reason is the spirits come into the lodge while she's doing her prayer. We'd also ask that people not talk too loud on this side so that people can hear her and be more respectful towards the prayer part of it. Thank you.
Folks, if we could just try to keep the noise level in this main room down a little bit, just to remind folks, try to keep it down a bit. Thank you. folks, I just got the word that we'll be getting back together in about 5 minutes. Okay, folks, I'm going to ask folks to take your seats, and we're going to get back onto our agenda and do some of our spoken remarks. Well, folks, I'm going to get back started here. I'm really excited to have everybody here to take part in the work that we're doing today. When I was hired, one of the things that our president said was that we wanted to embed Indigenous identity, Indigenous knowledge, and Indigenous ways of knowing into the very fabric of our institution. The first response that I had was, I have no idea how to do that. Other than to consult with community, other than to consult with knowledge carriers and folks, and find folks that would help guide us. So it's so important that folks came out to be a part of that and to guide our work. Another big supporter is MP Anita Vandervelde. We are fortunate in Ottawa, West Nepean to have hardworking and supportive representatives, and MP Anita Vandervelde is definitely one of them. She's a true defender of democratic principles around the globe and here at home. Anita currently chairs the House of Commons Subcommittee on International Human Rights and sits at the Foreign Affairs and International Development Committee and the Committee on Access to Information, Privacy, and Ethics. From 2015 to 2018, Anita has also chaired the Parliamentary Women's Caucus, was the founding chair of the All-Party Democracy Caucus, also served on the Committee on the Status of Women and the Procedure and House Affairs Committee, and has tirelessly represented the residents of Ottawa West Nepean. Part of our democracy is to ensure that everyone has the opportunity to succeed, and no one works harder to make that happen than our very own Member of Parliament. Ladies and gentlemen, please help me in welcoming MP Anita Vandervelde.
Thank you. Bienvenue tout le monde. Thank you very much, Miigwech. And it is such an incredible pleasure to be here today, even a little bit emotional and particularly inspiring, because originally when we talked about having the DARE Center, the DARE District, one of the things that we require as part of our infrastructure projects, one of the criteria, is to include something, a component with Indigenous Aboriginal Canadians. And today we saw it's not just included, it's not just an add-on, it is integral, as you mentioned, in the fabric of it. And I didn't fully experience that, I didn't fully realize that until today's ceremonies and being able to see this incredible, beautiful, and inspiring vision that Algonquin College and Cheryl Jensen and all of you have been able to do today. And I particularly want to thank the elders and the Algonquin people who are here today, welcoming us on their ancestral territory and also welcoming us and blessing all of us. As you know, the DARE District stands for Discovery, Applied Research, and Entrepreneurship. And a couple of years ago, the federal government announced a $21.9 million investment in this project, a project that we all see here today come to life. It feels like just yesterday that we were out in the courtyard with our shovels doing the turning of the soil for this project. And now we can see what can happen when all of us dare to dream. Dans le cadre de ce projet, le Collège algonquin a lancé un institut pour l'entrepreneuriat indigène. Cet institut aidera de faciliter des connexions autochtones et le marché du travail en travaillant plus étroitement avec l'industrie et les communautés indigènes. Cela est quelque chose qui aidera à stimuler le potentiel et la créativité pour les plus de 1000 élèves autochtones au Collège algonquin.
And of course, there are over 1,000 Indigenous students, learners, here at Algonquin College. And it is wonderful to see that every single part of this project, from the Indigenous Entrepreneurship Center to the design and the artwork and to the courtyard spaces that we are opening and naming today, it is all integrated into it. This is something that will bring together and include both Indigenous and non-Indigenous learners. And I'm very proud of the college for the leadership toward that vision. Indigenous knowledge and imagery are woven throughout the design and purpose. In addition to the Institute of Indigenization and the Indigenous Commons, the Courtyard will provide a space for students to gather and reflect on the future by understanding the past. The centerpiece, which is inspired by traditional crafts practiced by the Algonquin people of this region, will provide opportunities for sacred ceremonies as well as events and gatherings, as we've seen here today. Our federal government is committed to advancing reconciliation, inclusion, and a renewed relationship with Indigenous peoples based on recognition of rights, respect, cooperation, and partnership as the foundations for transformative change. This Indigenous Courtyard shows that Algonquin College is leading the way in our multi-generational journey toward reconciliation. The Truth and Reconciliation Commission recommended that we all need to do our part individually and collectively. We have a lot of work ahead of us, but the opening of this courtyard is a small but very significant step on the road toward reconciliation and inclusion. It is my absolute pleasure to be able to be here today and that the federal government was able to contribute so much to making this vision a reality. Thank you.
There are so many important things that are being said this morning, this afternoon, and probably one of the most important pieces that the work that we're doing right now is literally for everybody. You know, the calls to action within Truth and Reconciliation, they're not just about our folks doing that, Ron and Andre doing that, students doing that. It's everybody's responsibility, and there's work to be done. You can't get to reconciliation without exploring the truth, and we're going to do exactly that. Our president, in my opinion, is one of the strongest leaders that I have ever met. Unlike some of the other folks within the sector, our focus on truth, reconciliation, and the process of indigenization is real and authentic. We're not just putting lipstick on things, we are actually looking to embed this work in everything that we're doing. So much so that this year, of the 4 priorities that were chosen, TRC is one of them. Truth and reconciliation will now be found in each and every single manager, directors, senior leaders, and executives' business plan. That means everybody in this institution will continue to work towards truth and reconciliation. It is an absolute pleasure to welcome to the stage, in my opinion, the strongest president in the college system, Cheryl Jensen.
Miigwech, Ron. Good afternoon, everyone. It's so nice to be here with you today. Before I begin, I'm going to steal a little thunder from someone for later on in the program, but I just can't help myself. I want to draw your attention to the wonderful photographs that you see up on the wall here that were so generously given to us by one of our most accomplished alumni, photographer Michelle Valberg. You know, I came in, I think it was last Friday they were up, and this whole room was transformed, not just because of the beauty, but because of the spirit that those pictures bring to this space. They're simply stunning images. And as you can see, we're proud to display them here today. They speak not only to the beauty of our country, but also to our natural world, which is an important element that we've tried to bring into the Dare District. Thank you again, Michelle. And she photographs animals so beautifully. She can also make a sow's ear into a silk purse. She took my photograph when I started here, and I've never looked that good and will never look that good again, I'm sure. The opening of our Indigenous Courtyard is just the beginning of a new way here at Algonquin. It is, I hope, what Ron McClester would say is in a good way. It's a way of sharing. a way of knowledge, a way of truth. All of these together are a way towards reconciliation. In searching for the words to convey how important this step is, I was reminded of the words of one of Canada's most celebrated Indigenous writers, Rita Jo, who was known as a gentle warrior for her fervent hope for understanding of her people and of her culture, which were brutally torn from her as a child in a residential school. As an adult, she penned one of her most famous poems, I Lost My Talk, which I'd like to read a little bit for you here now. I lost my talk, the talk you took away when I was a little girl, and I hope I pronounced this right, at Shubana Sadi School. You snatched it away. I speak like you. I think like you. I create like you. The scrambled ballad about my word. Two ways I talk. Both ways I say, your way is more powerful. So gently I offer my hand and ask, let me find my talk so I can teach you about me. In only a few words, Rita Jo tells us so much in this poem, and there is so much here that we can take with us today. Rita Jo's poem is Truth. It's a stark reminder of our history, a history that has to be at the center of all we do here in the name of truth and reconciliation. Just months ago, when we hosted Mike Gagne, the president of Nipissing University, for one of our Future of Health and Wellness breakfasts, I think it was about a year ago, he spoke about the ripple effect of residential schools and how that ripple can be felt across our country in so many ways. I know those ripples run deep here too. And I want this courtyard to stand as our promise that we will not look away. Rita Jo's poem is also about the loss of voice. And that's something else I'd like all of us to think about today too. As Anita said, the D in DARE stands for discovery, but I want that discovery to be not just about discovering a new technology or a new formula. I want it to be about discovering all of our voices so that we can take in many perspectives. Let's be open to bringing everyone to our table, to hearing what everyone has to say. And let us be sure that every voice, no matter how small, can be heard. Rita Jo saved her most powerful line, I think, for the very last. She says, let me find my talk so I can teach you about me. I think that's something we can take from this as well. We can take something from this as well. Let's let this new courtyard, indeed the entire DARE district, provide the platform for us to learn about each other. And even more, let it be a place for all of us to learn more about Indigenous history, culture, and peoples. There's so much that you can hear in each line of her poem, but more than that, you can hear a call to action that is as strong as any of those found in the Truth and Reconciliation report. So gently I offer my hand, she says, beseeching us to journey with her as she reclaims her voice. Let's make the choice to take that hand and move forward. Let's all be gentle warriors in a quest to make that connection with each other. And as Ron has always told us, this place, this culture is for everyone to share, to learn from, and to embrace as the path to reconciliation. Here, today, right now. You know, I saw this at Algonquin just last week. We had a ceremony here for the Montreal Massacre last Thursday. And part of it at the end was to remember the 14 women who were murdered, but also to remember the women who are killed in domestic violence every day, and also to remember the missing and murdered women, Indigenous women. And the most powerful part of that ceremony for me, I don't know if Sarah Crawford is still here, she may have had to leave. Sarah Crawford is a coordinator for us here in sexual assault, sexual violence. And she was with Jackie and a wonderful woman who was out in the circle here with an Indigenous dress who started the procession. But it was Sarah Crawford who started the drumming and the Indigenous singing. And I thought, we're making a difference here at Algonquin when it's not an Indigenous woman who started that dance and that singing. It was someone who believed in it enough to use that as part of her ceremony that day. You know, it's difficult here this afternoon in early December, it was chilly outside, to imagine what this courtyard will look like when the winter snow gives way to the spring. But soon, under trees in the shadow of its central structure, you'll be able to walk among a garden of flowers and plants that are significant to Indigenous cultures, and our horticulture students are going to plant those gardens. You'll be able to rest under the shade of our green roof, which is right above us here, that will be sustained by the rainwater that we will collect. And when we gather here, as we're doing today, we'll be warmed by the central fire that will burn brightly in the heart of our college, a reminder of our spark of innovation, our passion for learning, and our commitment here today for a shared future. Rita Jo could never have imagined that her words would earn her the Order of Canada, or that they would be made into a performance at the National Arts Centre, or that they would inspire others to write about their own experience. She could not have known that the voice she thought had been lost would be carried so far and be heard by so many. And today, in gathering here and making this commitment, we've heard Rita's voice too. I hope that many other voices will fill this space in the weeks and the months and the years ahead. Let's find it amongst all of us here today in ourselves to listen. Thank you very much. Miigwech. Before I leave here, I do want to recognize a few of my friends that are here with me today. I think Dejanil Simon, our Student Association president, had to leave, but I know I have other members of the SA board here with me today. I have Christine Kelsey, who's the president of the Support Staff Union, here with me today as well. It's dangerous to just mention a few people, but I also want to mention Michael Turner, who's here with us today from Mitel. And Michael and Terry Matthews, when you think of this entire DARE district, sat on my president's advisory panel to help figure out what entrepreneurship meant to Algonquin in this ecosystem. So Michael, Miigwech, thank you very much for being here, and for all of you who helped to design this beautiful space. Miigwech.
Thank you, Cheryl. Next, I would like to call Jeff Turner to come up to say a few words as he's making his way up here. I just want to acknowledge, something, playing off a little bit about what Cheryl just said. You know, it really is a team effort with the work that we do here. Jeff has joined our team very recently to help with some partnership activities and connecting and networking throughout the Ottawa area. And I really have to say that I've grown quite fond of Jeff. In fact, I really have started to think of him like an uncle. He works very hard. He's here, I think, more than anybody, at least on my team, including myself. And he's quite something. So, Jeff?
Thank you for those kind words, Ron, for sure. And I challenge you on who's here the longest between you and Andre. And it might be a tie. But, he did not cause me to use a cane. It's a pinched nerve in my back. So I'm not abused at the Mammadosuan Center. If anybody's worried about that, I want to get that out right off the front. So we are quite fortunate here at Algonquin to have a supportive alumni and friends network. And on this very special occasion, it is my real pleasure to thank 3 of those who have helped make this incredible space what it is today. Andy Cottenham is president of the Fireplace and Patio Shop here in Ottawa, a company started by his father in 1952. Andy is not an alumni, however. He will proudly tell you he got his welding certificate here in a night program, and his son Adam is enrolled in our School of Business. When Ron and Peggy Austin from our foundation went to see Andy to get advice about a gas fireplace for our server, many of you have seen, he was so taken by the story of this place and what it will become. He promptly offered to supply us one free of charge. What a great friend indeed. Thank you, Andy, and we'll be reminded of you and your generosity every time we light a fire. John Liptak is president and CEO of Oakwood, a fourth-generation family business, which is the biggest renovation company in Eastern Ontario. John is a proud alumni, graduating from the General Carpentry class of 1978. Oakwood has a significant number of employees who are graduated from several of our trades programs, and John makes an effort to employ as many Algonquin graduates as he can. He remains very connected to the college and quite supportive as well. In this past September, John received the Alumni of Distinction Apprenticeship Award. When we looked for appliances for the servery, he was our first choice. John promptly offered financial support personally and leveraged his relations and connections in the industry to help secure what we needed at a very significant discount. So John, thank you very much. And I should have said, there's Andy's right there. Andy, do this. John, thank you guys very much. Now, Cheryl mentioned the next person I wanted to thank, which is Michelle Valberg. So you've already heard about the incredible artwork, but as it came out, Michelle's a dear friend of mine, by the way, and a very proud graduate of the photography program here, and was Alumni of the Year in 2005. She holds the inaugural Hall of Fame induction for photography in the School of Media and Design. She's the first Canadian Geographic photographer in residence and only one of 5 Nikon ambassadors in Canada. Her art is featured in embassies and trade offices, Canadian embassies and trade offices around the world. Michelle's work has been seen by over 100,000 people in a special exhibit at the Canadian Museum of Nature, and it remains the longest running private exhibit the museum has ever had. She's a community builder, a tireless philanthropist, offering her time and skills to hospitals and social service agencies throughout Ottawa. She discovered our far north in 2009. Some of these pictures represent that, and has since built a collection of images from her 40-plus trips to the north that is unparalleled. It was also in that year she founded Project North, a nonprofit that has delivered over $1 million in new hockey equipment to Inuit communities. In honor of the dedication of this room, you're about to find out the name shortly, Michelle proudly donated the beautiful images you see here that have transformed this place. Michelle, thank you very much.
Okay, folks, so we are about halfway done. No, I'm just kidding. So before I call up Samantha to do some of the unveiling for our names, I just want to contextualize things just a little bit further. So just to let you know, Samantha, we're going to do the name unveiling. Then we have a performance for you that we're very excited about, very excited about. And then we'll have a putting away the fire ceremony, and folks can go do a tour or stay in the room or go back outside. So we are getting very close to the end, but I do want to just tell you a quick story. So very excited to have received a job offer to come work up here in Algonquin Anishinaabe territory. But as I said to you before, it kind of scared me quite a bit. I spent all my life either very close to or on traditional Haudenosaunee territory, and that's where my own teachings and the bit of knowledge that I have come from. And so when Cheryl offered me the role, I said, I don't know that I can guarantee the kind of success at Algonquin that you've seen at Mohawk, because that's my family in that area. I said, I'm a fish out of water, and there's a lot of relationships to build and people to know and culture to explore, and who knows if they're even going to like me. So I don't know how that's going to work. And we started to do some community engagement, and that was really exciting. One particular day, though, a group of folks here at the college, also known as the Algonquin College Executive Team, said we'd really be interested in looking for an Indigenous name for our space. And I thought, well, that sounds cool. A little scary, but it sounds cool. Happy to help with that. But I have some concerns. Number one, I don't know what it means to look for a name in Anishinaabe culture. I know what that looks like at home, but I don't know what that looks like here. So we're going to have to go and find out. But if we get a name, I'm also concerned with what happens with that. Because what if we get one that's this long, and I bring it back to the executive, and it's all non-native people sitting around, and they say, well, we don't like that name. It's too long, or it's too hard to say, or it's confusing. So I said, we need a process for this. Laura, if you're in the room, you'd be very proud of me. Just for those who don't know, Laura's very process, and I'm very not. So it's a very good combination. So we said, we're going to have to go out to community to find out, because I have no idea. But we can't just go to one community, because we have to go to many of them. And we have to talk to elders, and we should talk to students, and we should talk to faculty members, and we should find out what this process might look like. So I'm very excited to say that that resulted in Andre and I and a group went out to at least my first trip to Kitigan-Zibi. And then we were in Pikwakanagan, and then we were at the Wabano, and then we did a couple sessions here. And I'm excited to say that in a few moments we are going to show you the names of 4 spaces that we have here at the college. Like I said, our goal is to embed Indigenous identity and Indigenous ways of knowing into the very fabric of this institution. And some of the acknowledgements today is folks who helped do that is incredible. Samantha Tenasco is one of them. So Samantha, if I can have you come up here, I just want to acknowledge your work and your time and leadership as we explored this work with community members and students and staff and faculty. And we really wouldn't be anywhere without the group effort. And so I'd like you to take over from here.
Klikaknawiak Smantan Indigenous Kitigan-Zibi Nindonjaba. Kiknamage Kwenin Ondje Algonquin College. So I just want to introduce myself. My name is Samantha Tenasco, and I'm from Kitigan-Zibi. I'm a teacher. I'm a part-time instructor here at the college. I'm also an alumni here in the business administration, human resource management, and the graduate certificate, the events management program. I've been teaching here at the college, I think it's 4th semester now, in the General Arts and Science Aboriginal Studies, Indigenous Studies program. My time here has been very well received. I'm loving everything I do with my youth. It's a new week every time. So getting back to on subject here about the naming, I own my own events management company, and that came after graduation here. I had a little bit of business sense in one hand, some HR, and some events management. So I paired that all together, and I opened my own company. I was introduced to Ron here, and he asked me, he says, I need help in naming in a safe way, in a traditional way, with the communities vetting the names. So I helped him out, and I said, okay, we're going to go visit Kitigan-Zibi, we're going to visit Pikwakanagan, and then we're going to have a session here in Ottawa to include the students here at the college presently. We came in with a pile of names. They narrowed it down to 5 names, and I'm here today to announce that. So here we go. Nitam, Agwajing, Awasama, Ishkodewan. Outside we have, this is fire, Ishkodewan. Ishkodewan, yeah. Ondeje, we have Nawapan. Nawapan, which means gathering nutrients for a journey. Sindima, right here, we have the lodge, and that's Mandadogamig right here, the circular area where you guys were present this morning with Elder DeConti and Elder Waitak. Shpimisug, we have Bidabin, Mamwe, Kijayag is a jig wogamig. That's a little tough one. It means the knowledge keepers, the place of the knowledge keepers. And they're both found on the 3rd floor up here. Anyway, so we're going to repeat that one more time. I'm also a teacher, and I know that Indigenous languages, we do a lot of repetition. So anyway, outside, Agwajing. Agwajing means outside. Ishkodewan. There is fire. That's what it means, the meaning behind that. Ondeje, here we have Nawapan, which is Nawapan, gathering strength for a journey, or lunch. The circular area has a English name called The Lodge. Thank you, The Lodge. Okay. Kiavich, Ishpimisug. Upstairs we have Bidabin, which means daybreak. Bidabin, it's a new time, it's a daybreak, it's a fresh start. And last but not least, Kejayag is a jig, woga mig. Kejayag is a jig, woga mig. Knowledge Keeper's place. All right, miigwech, guys.
So I hope you can tell that we have a heck of a lot of fun with the things that we do. These spaces are neat on their own. They would have not happened without the community, but it's really together that they come alive. So if you think about the third floor of the library, the last name she said, which I promise I will practice, I have to really credit Andre Obazowin with that. We were approached about having some space on the third floor of the library. And we had to think, what does Indigenous space look like in a library? It happens to be outside the silent area. In other words, it can be noisy. But for those of you who don't know, we didn't keep our knowledge in books. It was oral, wampum belts. There are different ways that we had for knowledge keeping, but they weren't in books. So we decided to make a space in the library that was about oration, a place for elders, story keepers, knowledge keepers, to have a place with students in the library where they could do that. One floor below that is Padabin. That really is the Institute of Indigenization. That is where we will look for bits of traditional Indigenous knowledge and apply that to 21st century thinking. What and how does Indigenous knowledge impact space utilization? The lodge is an example. The idea that it can be closed when we need it and open when we don't, and so on. Just an example of that. Down here, the fire, the Ishkado one, there is fire, a home for Indigenous pedagogy, the way we transmit and acquire knowledge. This place, gathering for a journey, this kind of activity, lecture series, potentially weddings, an area to focus back here on truth and reconciliation. You might imagine having a blanket exercise back here in the lodge. It's the way that we put the thinking together and package these that makes what we're doing a little bit different, and each and every one of you now have contributed to that, and we thank you. So, as we get closer to closing, I would like to invite Joshua Salt to come up here to perform for us. Joshua Salt has a very, very special story. I am told that in 2015, he and some of his classmates decided that they wanted to make a Christmas card and a song for our president, Cheryl Jensen. Cheryl has shared that with her team many times with great pride. In addition to the fact that Joshua and a few students have been invited to the Higher Education Summit now 2 years in a row and received standing ovation each time. What's interesting about that is we, as Algonquin College, folks are not approaching this massive sort of premier conference every year to have our students showcased. They're after him on their own. So we are very proud to have Joshua Salt as an alumni here at the college. We are very proud about looking to continue a relationship with him in the future, and we are very excited to ask him to perform for us now.
Hello. I'm Joshua Salt. I'm going to sing a song called Sachi Wewen. It means love in my language. I'm Cree from Ojibogamo, Quebec. It's in the James Bay region. So I hope you guys enjoy it. Anjis Tundi Tenano We Wapche. Thank you.
Oh, everybody power. Well, folks, that just about wraps up what we're doing here today. So Joshua is going to stay here and perform for us while we mingle a little bit. There are basically three options, well, four if you decide just to go home. There are basically three options now. Elder DeConte will be putting the fire away very shortly, so if anybody would like to put their coats on and join outside, that is one option. The second option is to tour the facilities. Outside these doors, you'll find some easels that explain a little bit about the names, so you can see some of that information and perhaps look at the new mural. And then tour the spaces upstairs, or you can stay here and kind of mingle. There's extra desserts and stuff here over on the side. So with that, I would just like to say thank you so much for coming out and being part of our day here. You know, as we work to explore the utility of Indigenous knowledge and continue to embed that into 21st century thinking, it's something that we can't do alone. And so we really appreciate not only you being here to celebrate the accomplishments that we've made today, but also the commitments that we have going forward. Surrounding us today represent quite a bit of work. The DARE District, for sure. The 5 elements within the Indigenous file, for sure. But that was fun and exciting and full of happiness. Next year, we're going to take a concerted effort to explore the truth. We can't get to reconciliation without understanding the truth, and we're going to go down that road. And when we do, it's not going to be easy. It's going to be hard. There'll be hurt feelings. There'll be sadness. There'll be tears. But we're going to do that together, because the only way we can get to reconciliation is if we understand each other, our past, and contribute to our future together. But we're really excited about it. It's going to be a lot of work. It'll be a little bit rough, but we're going to get it done, and we're going to start in January. So with that, folks, safe travels home, and thank you again for being here. Yamungo. Yambadi.
Follow you. Say something, I'm giving up on you. And I will stumble and fall. I'm still learning to love. I'm just starting to grow, and I will swallow my pride, 'cause you're the one that I love, and I'm saying goodbye. Say something, I'm giving up on you. You're the one that I love, and I'm saying goodbye. Say something, I'm giving up on you. And I'm sorry that I couldn't get to you. No. Say something, I'm giving up on you. Say something, I'm giving up on you. Thank you. Thank you. Snowden? Nice to meet you. I'm Josh. Thank you. Thank you. Oh, thank you so much. Yeah, thank you. No, I graduated 2 years ago. Yeah, but I plan to go to school again, but in Toronto. Yeah. Yeah, so. Yeah, thanks for having me. Oh, thank you. Yeah, I've been singing since I was like probably like maybe 8, 9. Yeah. Thank you. Pardon? No, unfortunately no. But I know of him. I know his music. Well, I'm about to sing Cold Line. Yeah, so you guys know Cold Line? Yeah. All right. Well, I just learned this song recently, so I'll just wing it. Thank you. This will be my last song. Nothing more. To hear knocking at my door. 'Cause if I could see your face once more, I could die happy, man, I'm sure. When you said your last goodbye, I died a little bit inside, and I had tears and bed all night, alone without you by my side. But if you love me, why'd you leave me? Take my body, take my body. All I want is, and all I need is to find somebody. I'll find somebody like you. You brought out the best in me, a part of me I've never seen. You took my soul, oh no, and wiped it clean.
was made for movie screens. But if you love me, would you leave me? Take my body, take my body. All I want is, and all I need is to find somebody. I'll find somebody. But if you love me, why'd you leave me? Take my body, take my body. All I want is, and all I need is to find somebody. I'll find somebody.